Welcome to Creative Living, the podcast with Jane Klaus.
Welcome to Creative Living. I am Jane Klaus, and you are here, and I am so grateful for that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's episode is incredibly special to me and close to my heart. We're going to dive into a topic that really does touch so many of us, whether you're a survivor, you've lost someone to this terrible disease, or you know someone that is currently fighting the battle. We're talking about cancer. It has affected our lives in profound ways, but there is hope. For the past 10 years, an incredible organization has been forging new ground in cancer research and making remarkable advancements. Led by Dr. Liadas and his team at the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center at Northwestern Medicine in Chicago, and Chairwoman Eleni Bousis, the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation is at the forefront of groundbreaking cancer research. They not only strive to raise awareness, but they also fund the desperately needed research that is helping shape the future of cancer treatment. So today I am thrilled to be joined by two exceptional board members who are here to share their insights and their passion for the work being done. And together we will learn and explore how we can all make a difference. So first, we have Nicole Liadas. She is a founding board member with a PhD in molecular biology. Her work as a clinical cancer researcher inspired her passion to help patients understand their diagnosis and treatment while advocating for groundbreaking research. And joining her is Janell Adames, an executive board member and breast cancer survivor. Her personal journey fuels her passion for supporting cancer research and empowering others through education and advocacy. Nicole and Janell, it is such a privilege to welcome you to Creative Living.
Thank you for having us.
It's so great to have both of you here, and it's a very important conversation. The Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation has been making incredible strides over the last 10 years, not only for cancer awareness, but also for cutting-edge cancer research. So I want to talk about the big picture. I want to talk about the research. I want to talk about the treatments, and I want to talk about creating awareness. But first, let's start by talking about the foundation and what it means to you and what inspired each of you to become involved in HCRF. And Janell, let's start with you.
Thank you for having me. I am a cancer survivor. And on November 3rd of 2011, I was given the diagnosis of breast cancer in situ. And that has started my journey. It's brought me here today. Because of my diagnosis, I started to get involved, obviously, with what I felt would be a good platform, which is cancer research. That's really going to lead us to the next step in the journey of eradication, which is my ultimate goal. So this is why I'm here today with you, to speak about and raise awareness for our organization, which supports advancing cancer research. We would like to support improving patient outcomes, and having been a patient, I would like to be on board with that.
Amazing. And Nicole, let's share a little bit about your story and what made you become interested in the organization and, your work.
Thank you for having me. So for me, both my cancer research background and Eleni Bousis inspired me to be a part of HCRF. As a cancer researcher, especially doing clinical cancer research, I would come face to face with cancer patients that were getting treated for cancer. I'd come face to face with the cancer patient that was my exact age that was running out of treatment options. There was an instance where a dad died of cancer, and the mom would continue to bring the child to the hospital, but the child would be looking for the dad under hospital beds and refused to accept that the dad was gone. Along with personal struggles, it was really pivotal for me when I met Eleni Bousis. Here was an unrelenting woman that made it abundantly clear that we have to aligned with the greatest minds in science and cancer research to address the most urgent questions in cancer research and improve outcomes for patients. So at that time, we became introduced to the Lurie Cancer Center that is directed under the extraordinary guidance of Dr. Leonidas Platanius. And, it's so exciting to be a part of an organization that urgently addresses what we want is better outcomes for our friends, family, and loved ones.
Okay, so let's talk about chairwoman and founder of the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation, Eleni Bousis, and Dr. Platanius, because without their vision and their leadership, HCRF wouldn't be here, and all of this groundbreaking research wouldn't be part of this conversation today. So talk a little bit about their roles so we can all understand how this all got started and then who they are to the foundation.
Eleni is she's the founding member. She is what I call the wind beneath our wings to cure.
And I think Janell will agree that Eleni brings people from all walks of life. And once you meet her, you just want to jump on the bandwagon to be a part of history to end cancer.
Your word relentless is exactly describing Eleni.
Yeah, totally.
He is a force. You have to jump on board with Eleni. You have to.
I love the idea of jumping on board to be a part of history, and that is curing cancer. I feel like we talk about this, and so many people know that there are thousands or hundreds of cancer research foundations out there, or cancer awareness foundations. So when I heard about the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation, I was like, oh, this is different. The HCRF is different. So Nicole, talk a little bit about cancer research and what makes HCRF so special.
HCRF is very focused in what it supports. It supports what we call think outside the box cancer research. And no better place for this think outside the box to be happening than the Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center under the direction of Dr. Leonidas Platanius. As I said, Eleni's selective in who we support, and the Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center is one of the top cancer centers in the country. The doctors and researchers there are publishing in high impact journals. And in fact, they are leaders within their own realm. Many of the doctors there have been founding members of the National Cancer Network Association, which is, they basically give way for the NCCN guidelines. These are guidelines that are followed by all cancer doctors around the world. So for us, we want the latest research in both basic cancer research, clinical cancer research, and translational cancer research happening so that better decisions can be made for our friends, family, and loved ones. And we want to align with someone that also understands HCRF's urgencies.
I love the idea of think outside the box cancer research, because think outside the box is something we use in board meetings or we use in brainstorming meetings. And here we are talking about scientists and researchers, and we're talking about a devastating diagnosis, and that is cancer. But think outside the box. It gives me hope that, oh, well, okay, we can think differently about this. There is something more we can do, because so many stories just get stopped like, oh, there's nothing more we can do. But when you say think outside the box, Nicole, what does that mean? Like, how are you thinking outside the box when it comes to research and science? And are these different researchers then impacting not only nationally, but also the global research cancer industry?
That's a really good question. And the reason why us as people that have friends and family and loved ones that are being diagnosed with cancer want to align with people that are doing research that think outside the box research is because this is the research that's going to revolutionize how we diagnose, treat, and cure cancer. And the Lurie Cancer Center has this very unique program where they bring together people of many different scientific disciplines. So you have nanotechnologists working with engineers and molecular biologists. So you are approaching the urgent question of curing cancer from every angle. So that's why there's this ability to think outside the box and bring every perspective to get down to the one question that we all want to answer is, how can we cure cancer?
Yeah. And Janell, from a think outside the box perspective, as a survivor, an advocate, how important is it for the public to understand this mentality of think outside the box? What does that mean in your mission?
Well, first of all, cancer can be very polarizing. And once I started understanding the mission of the organization, I was all in. There was no question that I didn't want to be a part of something that thought outside the box, that went to help every single type of cancer. They're not here just for one type. We're here for every single type of cancer. And for me, wanting to help everyone, it's important to me. We're supposed to come together as a society, and this is very important for us to have an organization like this. Also, Lurie Children's, they are going to be the ones to follow. I believe this anyway, just as a patient, just as somebody that went through a polarizing situation.
And your cancer diagnosis was 2011?
Yeah, November 3rd of 2011. So mine was breast cancer inside the duct. It was HER2 positive. And I feel very lucky and very blessed to be here. I went through 3 years of in and out of hospitals. And this is why what we're doing today, aiming to raise funds to support critical research, for me, it's everything. It's everything. It's the foundation.
It truly is. Absolutely. It's everything is a great way to describe that, because it is everything. And 10 years of the Hippocratic Research Foundation, there have been so many great achievements and milestones. Nicole, can you talk to some of the biggest accomplishments that you've seen so far, or some of those things that you're just standing on the couch and screaming, look what we've done?
So the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation has helped support cutting edge research at Northwestern, and that cutting edge research includes immunotherapy. Right now, immunotherapy is the latest and the greatest and the most promising treatment we have for all types of cancer. And the team at Northwestern is doing everything they can to optimize immunotherapy, not just for melanoma patients, which was the disease that it was first started to, where they showed that they could make a difference for cancer patients, but for all sorts of cancer. You know, you're aligning with the right people if they're the people that are using the latest and the greatest technologies and drugs to help treat cancer patients.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought this up, because immunotherapy seems to be the topic, seems to be what everybody is talking about. But for those people who don't understand, explain what immunotherapy is and then how it works.
Typically, we all know that the immune system is crucial to fight infections, whether it be viruses or bacteria. But the immune system is also important for recognizing cancer and getting rid of cancer in your body. When cancer happens, it's learned ways to what we call evade immune responses and basically prevent the cancer from being recognized by the immune system. So to address this, immunotherapy has been developed, and immunotherapy can be in the form of cancer vaccines, antibodies, things that boost an immune response, or things that remove the brake on what limits an immune response. Today, we are also looking at how immunotherapy can be used in combination with chemotherapies to optimize patient outcomes. And when immunotherapy was first FDA approved as a drug for melanoma patients, it was able to improve cancer patient survival by 20%. So that means 20% more people were able to survive post 5 years than before. And since then, this happened in 2011, and we continue to get better and better at optimizing how to use immunotherapy.
How is that different from previous treatments? And then what does that mean for patients?
So what's so different about immunotherapy is that it harnesses the patient's own immune system to attack their own cancer. And at the end of the day, what we want is the best treatment for a patient's cancer, not for a group of patients. So it allows us to do this in a way where we not necessarily have to know what that cancer is molecularly expressing, we're able to trigger that immune system and attack it. But we can also use it in combination with the targeted therapies that have been developed. So at the end of the day, this immunotherapy helps tailor the treatment for the patient, which is what we all want. We want the best treatment for our loved ones as individuals. We don't just want, the drug treatment that was used on a bunch of people. We want to make sure that it's laser focused on eliminating the cancer in a specific patient. So in that way, a treatment can be patient specific. So doing this, we're getting closer and closer to developing more patient specific treatments.
Yeah. And you had mentioned you get to a point where there's nothing else we can do, but maybe there is with some of these new advancements because it is patient specific. So that takes a lot of learning and a lot of education as well.
It does. And I think Janell could totally relate. Janell's like, that's all I wanted, right, for myself. And all I want for, like, Janell said, for friends and loved ones that continue to be diagnosed with cancer. I know we've talked
Nicole,
about this.
when I went through it, I had what I think was the typical protocol. This is what you have. So here's what we can do for you. I had a million questions. Well, if you're killing my immune system, how am I fighting this? And then it wasn't gone. After you've done your protocol, it's still there. What are you talking about? So the reason why I hopped on board with these guys is the obvious. You're seeing the obvious. We have to have out of the box thinking. We have to find ways to help our own bodies fight what's happening inside of them. What I went through, I would not wish on anyone. You never, you don't know, you hear these stories. Oh, she has cancer. And then all of a sudden you have no idea what actually happens to and for these humans, because that's who we are. So now you're hearing like why I'm here with them and what they do. Imagine immunotherapy. I mean, that is incredible for someone like me who went through what I went through.
Yeah. And combining it with those targeted therapies that are specific for that person. So you could have two patients with breast cancer that present with the same type of breast cancer, but need different treatments because there's something molecularly different, right? And all of us would want the doctors to give them the best treatment for their cancer, right?
Yes.
Right. And each of us are different, made up differently. And I love the idea of being able to tailor it specifically to the patients. And are we doing that now? Are we able to do that?
So that's why the foundational cancer research that HCRF is supporting will lead to clinical research and ultimately translational research studies that are tailored. That's the goal of Dr. Platanius and his team at the Lurie Cancer Center, is to better tailor these treatments. And what better way to do that than having the cancer research labs in their own backyard where the latest and the greatest scientific advancements are guiding those decisions for those individual patients.
It's like care with care. It wasn't like when I walked in and they were, okay, so this is what we're going to do. He has care with this most incredible heart that there's so much love behind his work. Am I wrong? I mean, it's incredible. And then you have Elaine.
Absolutely.
And obviously this incredible woman.
My eyes are tearing up. My heart is full. Hearing your story, Janell, hearing the promise of what's coming and what you've been doing, Nicole. I talked about earlier that cancer has touched so many of our lives, and I lost my big brother. Sorry. In 2007, he had a 10-pound tumor in his stomach. So a stomach sarcoma that they believe was caused by, he had testicular cancer 30 years prior, and they believe that may have caused this cancer. They took the cancer out. He battled for 17 months. He lost the fight. Thank God he thought there were 10 stages of cancer, because when they said you have stage 4, you're on hospice, he thought, I'll watch the Bears game. It literally, there's nothing else we can do. And I'm standing in the hospital, dropping my coffee on the ground because I'm like, I know it's coming. So when I met Dr. Platanius and Nicole and Janell and Elaine and everyone involved with HCRF, it's so emotional because I see what you're doing, and it really affects so many people.
Mhm.
When you hear stories, and Janell, you lived it. Nicole, you see it. You hear people like me talking about it all the time.
Right.
But when you hear stories like my brother Peter,
Mm.
and you meet people in the hospital and you talk to other survivors, does that drive you to do more research, forge ahead, and then get the awareness out? And this is for both of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just hearing your story, and I'm so sorry, my condolences, honestly. I know what I went through, so I know what everyone else is going through. I want to forge ahead with this. I'm so excited to have these galas, to create awareness, to foster an area like at the gala that we're having on November 2nd, by the way, an arena where we can come together, survivors, families
Mhm.
that have survived a loved one, that we can all come together and share stories. We can hold each other's hands. We can honestly look forward to a better future. We are the ones who are creating hope every time we get together and hold each other's hands.
That's so true. Nicole?
Jane, I'm so sorry to hear that. And
Thank you.
like your brother, we are seeing that there's an urgency to do this. More and more young people are getting cancer, and the cancer they're getting is more and more aggressive. And for us, we know that cancer research matters. In the last 30 years, cancer deaths have decreased by 30% because of this cutting edge cancer research.
That's
So
amazing.
we can make a huge impact in the next 30 years. So that's why for us, HCRF, it's our 10th anniversary. We're so excited. We want to make this a big year where we can support Dr. Platanius and his team to achieve breakthroughs that will make a difference for future family members that will be diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this because we're going to get into the awareness. We're going to talk about the gala, how we can all help. But before we do that, what is the biggest challenge a researcher faces when looking at all of this research and trying to forge ahead?
For the researcher, I think the biggest challenge is trying to look at a patient and address their cancer so that they come up with the best personalized treatment plan, and trying to come up with that plan, and keeping up with the fact that more and more patients are being diagnosed with cancer. I think that's their biggest challenge, is how can they make a difference for an individual patient. We're at a time where we can sequence a patient's genome, right? We have these tools at the tip of our fingers. And I really think, it can come together to make a difference just through this type of research, by, the breakthroughs that can happen through this foundational research.
I love that you didn't say funding. I thought you were going to say funding, but what you did is like, I don't care about funding. I'm thinking about the patient. And I love that.
Yeah.
That's who you are. That's what you do, and of course on my side, I'm like, we need funding. How do we fund this? And so I guess that's where the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation comes in. And that is awareness, and it's funding. And it's, they always say when you do a fundraiser, that is day one. That's not that's not the day you raise the money. That's the first day. And then you just keep going. And for 10 years, this foundation, the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation, has kept going to raise awareness and funding. So Janell, let's talk a little bit about the gala, because they've been doing this and they have events all year round, but the gala is coming up on November 2nd here in Chicago at Navy Pier. Tell us a little bit about it, the theme, and maybe how it's going to be different this year from years past, and what the main goal is.
Well, first off, David Baldwin Events just met with us and showed us the concept for what we're doing at Navy Pier, and it's really exciting and beautiful. And I think it really shows where we've come in 10 years. It's going to be spectacular. I kept saying that it's almost like this elegant 40s theme that sort of helps us to celebrate where we are today. Just as an organization and as a supporter. We have a few exciting things planned, some surprises. And also I'd like to welcome our chair couple, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my stuff, Chris Lardakis, I have to say their name right, and Shana Hurley Lardakis will be our chair couple this year. And Shana has a story of her own. I'm really very excited that this couple can come on board and share with you why we're doing what we're doing today and why a couple so honorable would join our organization and help support.
Yeah, really and truly incredible. Nicole, let me ask you this. When it comes to fundraising and awareness from a scientist researcher perspective and doing the work, you see these, how does that make you feel and how impactful is that on the team of people that you work with?
For me, being a part of HCRF is so inspiring because I know that we're aligning with a team at Northwestern that can make a difference. They have top cancer doctors that are publishing in high impact journals. I've been to cancer research meetings where people are literally on the edge of the seat waiting to hear what the Northwestern cancer doctors have to say in terms of, what treatment would you give this cancer patient? And it's because these are the doctors that are choosing and forming the guidelines to be followed to treat cancer patients all around the world. And that resonates with, Janell, with all of us, because we're like, oh my gosh, doctors are faced with important decisions. And we want to choose a doctor that is closely tied to scientific and clinical advancements to make that decision for me. So as a cancer researcher, I'm very proud to be a part of an organization that supports this cutting edge research. And, meeting Eleni has this urgency. And, every time you meet Eleni, she will tell you a new person that's being diagnosed and what she is doing to get the team at Northwestern on board to help tailor a patient-specific treatment plan for that patient. And she follows through with those patients, and she makes the team at Northwestern accountable, which they already are. You're drawn in to help make the organization a success and make the Northwestern team help them make advancements in cancer research.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Platanius and Eleni Boussis, they have such big hearts. Every time I talk to them or I hear more stories and the work that they're doing, I feel like they're just like living, standing, breathing hearts that I want to just step right into, and you just feel love like immediately. And I feel like you feel that when you hear them speak or you talk to them.
Right. Incredible.
Just come to our gala. You will be inspired and you will hear their stories, everyone's stories.
They foster everyone coming together. They're just incredible humans. It's really not too difficult to follow.
So the interesting thing for me is I meet a lot of people in very different cities and markets on planes. Yeah. And they say, oh, I love your podcast. And it's always like shocking to me that I don't know where they live or where they're going, but they listen. So this podcast, Creative Living, is based in Chicago. And this is a Chicago organization. Mm-hmm. Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation. The Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center is in Chicago. And so I want to be clear that what we're talking about is happening in my backyard, in your backyard. You can come to Chicago to the gala. You can come to Chicago for treatment. But the idea of all of this incredible advancements in cancer research and care and just human love happening right here is just really so special. It is like world class.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always felt that way. And also, it's almost like being here in Chicago. It's a privilege. It's a privilege for me to be here today with you. It's a privilege to be on the board. It's a privilege to be a part of what Chicago is building for the rest of the world. I mean, it's the only way to view it.
It's amazing that you talk about you talk about it being Chicago based, but I actually think it actually extends to the whole world because they are world-renowned doctors, they are world-renowned research, and they are publishing work that isn't going to impact the research happening, in Nebraska or anywhere else, right? Mm-hmm. And like ultimately, cancer is a worldwide problem, right? And they're helping address it.
Yeah. I didn't mean to make it sound small, like we're just Chicago. It is worldwide. I want everyone in the world's eyeballs to be at what's happening here, because it's going to be happening everywhere. As you said, be a part of history and let's find a cure for cancer. I think that is so profound in the conversation, because I think awareness not only needs to happen on this local level, but it needs to happen globally, which is why we're talking today on this show. When we talk about this research and the awareness, people listening today may want to do more. Maybe they can't come to the gala. What do they do to learn more about HCRF? How can they help? Janell, what can we do?
Well, first off, they can go on the HCRF wingstocure.org. And that is really going to explain the whole platform, everything that we believe in. Attend the galas. You can volunteer. There are so many things that we can do to help a patient. And I'm sure there's even more that Nicole can bring up, just even through working at a hospital.
Well, even our fashion show, we have other things that we can do, right? But, making each other accountable to make sure that when a family member is diagnosed with cancer, is that really the best treatment option? Look into, the Lurie Cancer Center and their program. You can actually search their clinical trials on their website, right? And you can put in the cancer that you're looking for. Everyone wants to do their research when a loved one is diagnosed with cancer, but they're happy, we're happy for them to reach out to HCRF so we can hold their hand to help them connect with the right people at Northwestern, because ultimately that's what we would do, right? So that's for our friends and loved ones.
I also think, what about someone listening that is going to med school and they're making decisions and they're inspired by this conversation? What do you say to them?
Well, first of all,
I would say, keep going, and always strive for excellence, like the excellence of treating the patient as an individual and not treating just the disease.
Yeah.
And there's information out there, just as you pointed out. Go in other hospitals, look up what they've done. There's so much available. I mean, I truly feel like keep going and keep researching.
Yeah. And we all work together because all of us can add something to it all. I ask everybody this when they join me on the show, and I'm going to ask both of you this as well. Janell, what does it mean to you to live better creatively?
It took me a while to even admit what I had gone through. And it was really hard to be a cancer patient. I am living out of the box right now. I am doing what I feel is my duty. I am honored. Living creatively is doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And that is supporting the HCRF, supporting every individual that is helped through this organization. And I hope to continue to be able to do this. This is creative for me.
And Nicole, same question to you. What does it mean to live better creatively?
I love that creative applies to anyone and everyone. And, when I think about living better, I think about striving towards what gives me peace. And for me, what would give me peace is not having any more family members die from cancer. And creatively for me means doing the never done before. And so supporting the never done before research that will make the greatest difference for our friends, family, and loved ones. So that's why I'm so proud to be a part of HCRF. That is, this organization is supporting the never done before research that will help support the riskiest projects and hopefully achieve those breakthroughs that we're also desperately yearning for family members that have been and will be diagnosed with cancer.
Never done before. I love that. I am inspired. My heart is heavy. I'm forever changed from this conversation, ladies. Thank you so much. If people want to learn more, it's HCRF wingstocure.org. It is so inspiring to see how research and awareness efforts combined are really making a difference in the fight against cancer. Nicole, Janell, your insights. Thank you so much for sharing all the incredible work that you are doing and you continue to do for the Hippocratic Cancer Research Foundation. And for really and truly for anyone listening that wants to get involved or support, we can all do it. We can all work together. All contributions count. And together we can
welcome everyone.
Well, welcome everyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's all be part of history and move closer to your cure. Yeah.
One can only hope.
Nicole Liadas and Janell Adames, thank you so much for joining us on Creative Living.
Thank you for listening to Creative Living with Jane Klaus. For more creative living inspiration, just head to janeclaus.com.